Today we're going to talk about how the disastrous Epstein scandal is tearing the MAGA base apart, and the Easter egg put forward by Trump that suggests what he's going to do next. And I've got 2 interviews this week. I speak with Jamie Raskin about what the Judiciary Committee is going to do to compel the Epstein files, and Kara Swisher about Epstein, Elon, and the America Party. I'm Brian Tyler Cohen, and you're watching No Lie. I'm not even gonna lie, I was a skeptic when the Epstein stuff first started bubbling to the surface. I'm probably the farthest from a conspiracy guy that you will ever find, and the Epstein stuff always felt very online, and that's coming from me, who is very online. I wasn't convinced about whether or not he killed himself, and I didn't really think it mattered at the end of the day either, but my interest was obviously piqued when Trump lashed out at the beginning of this past week at his cabinet meeting when he yelled at a reporter for talking about Epstein, which I found so weird because half of Trump's cabinet literally built their brands on this exact thing. Bongino, Patel, Bondi, Habba, not to mention a ton of right-wing influencers, this was their issue. And now all of a sudden Trump doesn't want to talk about any of it? But then Saturday rolled along and the Epstein thing still didn't die. And so Trump posts in the morning that he's going to denaturalize Rosie O'Donnell. He's going to take her citizenship away, which is such an obvious, clear, blatant distraction effort that I started to think, okay, this guy is grasping at straws here. He's obviously trying to train our attention away from what we would normally be talking about, and that was the Epstein stuff. And then came the Truth Social post, heard around the world, a long, rambling screed, but with 2 lines that were especially telling. For years, it's Epstein over and over again. Why are we giving publicity to files written by Obama, crooked Hillary, Comey, Brennan, and the losers and criminals of the Biden administration who con the world with the Russia hoax, 51 intelligence agents, the laptop from hell, and more? And after I read that, I was sold that clearly this guy is hell-bent on hiding something. Like, there is no world where enduring the pain and humiliation and backlash that I'm going to describe in a moment is worth just not releasing whatever you've got, which tells me that whatever the Trump administration has must be even worse. And the backlash that I had just mentioned was swift and severe. Trump was hit with an absolute deluge from the left and the right of people decidedly not buying into his demands that we all just look away. For the first time ever, he was ratioed on Truth Social, which is the social media platform that he himself owns. Right-wing influencers were either completely fed up or, at best, visibly unconvinced. Here's Benny Johnson's reaction, for example, which I think pretty effectively sums up the response from the entire MAGA base.
Okay. So President Trump has acknowledged that the Epstein files exist here. President Trump has acknowledged that the files were written and that there is something there. He says that they were written, however, by his enemies and therefore will not be released. Whoa, what? That's new.
And look, I get why Benny Johnson is exasperated. At first, the files were supposedly on Pam Bondi's desk and would be released imminently. Then the files suddenly didn't exist and the case was just closed. And the files then did exist, but they were fakes written by Obama, Clinton, Comey, and Brennan. All very, very plausible stuff. Truly weird how no one seems to be buying it. But then there's a morsel in there that suggests what Trump's going to do in the future. So think about the lengths that Trump goes to in order to convince people of his lies. He said that the 2020 election, for example, was stolen, and he went so far as to incite an insurrection at the U.S. Capitol and then brought on Pam Bondi as Attorney General to prosecute anybody who tried to suggest otherwise. So when he tells a lie, he commits to it 100% because he knows that that's what it takes to con his base, and he also knows that his base is susceptible to being conned. So when Trump says in his Saturday afternoon screed that the Epstein file was written by, quote, Obama, Hillary, Comey, Brennan, and the losers and criminals of the Biden administration, he may very well be previewing who he's going to go after as part of his effort to convince the base that the clearly incriminating Epstein file is somehow a Democratic plot to take him down. This is what it looks like when Trump lays the groundwork. So look, obviously, I don't know what Trump is going to do next. I don't think Trump knows what Trump is going to do next, but it's worth keeping an eye on this space because 2 things are true here. First, Trump is clearly backed into a corner, and given the unprecedented reaction from his own base, he's only going to get more desperate and more backed into a corner and lash out even harder as time goes on. And second, We've seen this strategy play itself out before, where he picks a scapegoat and then he goes all in to deflect responsibility by destroying that person or those people. So watch this space, because Trump bats 1,000 at catching Democrats flat-footed, and we're not about to let it happen again. Next up are previews of my interviews with Jamie Raskin and Kara Swisher. But first, just a quick reminder that on one video per week, this one, I have sponsors. So here's a quick word from some sponsors and then previews of my interviews with Jamie Raskin and Kara Swisher. No Lie is brought to you by Everyday Dose. Now, a major problem is that everybody wants to get all the supplements they need, but they're expensive and they're hard to keep up with. Everyday Dose is affordable and covers all of your bases just in a cup of coffee. It takes 30 seconds to make, and you get a cup of coffee plus a bunch of supplements with vitamins, minerals, and amino acids. Everyday Dose is coffee plus benefits. It combines 100% Arabica coffee with powerful ingredients like lion's mane and chaga, collagen protein, and nootropics to fuel your brain, boost focus, and give you clean, sustained energy all day long. No crash, no jitters, just clean, sustained energy. 2 products to highlight: Coffee Plus and Coffee Plus Bold. Coffee Plus is a mild roast, light and smooth, low acidity, which is easy on sensitive stomachs, and it has mellow energy. Coffee Plus Bold is a rich blend of medium roast 100% Arabica coffee, robust and full-bodied yet smooth. Extra boost of energy. Both are 100% Arabica coffee, have functional benefits, and are mold-free. Everyday Dose does do third-party testing. Get 45% off your first subscription order of 30 servings of Coffee Plus or Bold Plus. You'll also receive a starter kit with over $100 in free gifts, including a rechargeable frother and gunmetal serving spoon, by going to everydaydose.com/BTC or entering BTC at checkout. You'll also get free gifts throughout the year. That's everydaydose.com/BTC for 45% off your first order. No Lie is brought to you by Shopify. So when I started my show, my YouTube channel, and my podcast, it seemed like there were a million things to figure out. I had to figure out the scripts and the setup and the filming, the schedule. I had to do my branding. All of it was very overwhelming, and each thing I figured out seemed to lead to more problems to have to figure out. And so in that way, the to-do list keeps on growing. And that's the same thing that takes place no matter what business you're starting. There's always a to-do list that keeps growing every single day with new tasks, and that list can easily begin to overrun your life. And so finding the right tool not only helps you out, but simplifies everything, and that could be a game changer. And for millions of businesses, that tool is Shopify. Shopify is the commerce platform behind millions of businesses around the world, including my own website, and 10% of all e-commerce platforms in the United States, from household names like Mattel and Gymshark to smaller brands like BrianTylerCohen.com. So get started with your own design studio. With hundreds of ready-to-use templates, Shopify helps you build a beautiful online store to match your brand style. You can accelerate your content creation. Shopify is packed with helpful AI tools that write product descriptions, page headlines, and even enhance your product photography. You can get the word out like you have a marketing team behind you even when you don't. You can easily create email and social media campaigns wherever your customers are scrolling or strolling. And best yet, Shopify is your commerce expert with world-class expertise in everything from managing inventory to international shipping to processing returns and everything in between. So if you're ready to sell, you are ready for Shopify. Turn your big business idea into with Shopify on your side. Sign up for your $1 per month trial and start selling today at shopify.com/BTC. Go to shopify.com/BTC. Shopify.com/BTC. So, Congressman, the Epstein scandal has kind of poured into the spotlight in a way that we haven't seen happen before. What are you able to do in your role on judiciary to try and compel some of the information that clearly it seems like Donald Trump has a vested interest in hiding?
Well, look, every Republican that I've spoken to, whether it's somebody in Congress or just like out in the street, wants this information to be released. And Donald Trump promised it. J.D. Vance promised it. The whole Republican establishment was behind it, including Attorney General Bondi, including Dan Bongino, including Kash Patel. And so they want it released. And what I'm trying to explain to them is they don't need to convince Donald Trump. They just need to convince the Republicans in Congress. Jim Jordan and the Democrats on the House Judiciary Committee have the subpoena power. So we can have a hearing and just subpoena the Attorney General, subpoena Kash Patel to come in, tell us everything they know, and turn over the client list and turn over the information that not only Republicans, but Democrats have been demanding since the Biden administration. I called for this several years ago. The Epstein is a convicted sex offender who was running a child sex ring. He's gone, so his prosecution's over, so there can be no prejudice there. And then meantime, you've got the president of the United States and all these other officials saying that there's a client list and that there's evidence of this sex ring taking place. And rather than have the whole country divided and in an uproar about it, let's just come clean, and they should show us what they've got. Pam Bondi said it was on her desk. Take it off of her desk and bring it over to Congress. So I'm sending a letter on Monday to Chairman Jordan saying, let's just have a hearing and let us disclose whatever the government has to the people of the United States.
So is Jim Jordan the only impediment then to being able to subpoena whatever information exists?
Well, I don't know that he is an impediment. I mean, we haven't spoken about it yet. I think everybody assumed the administration was going to release this information because they said they would. And of course,
what with it being the thing that they had predicated their entire brand on.
Well, and Pam Bondi had that first horrible big press conference release situation where it was just a bunch of recycled flotsam and jetsam. But people want to know what is really in there. And look, we don't want doctored evidence. We don't want fabricated evidence. If all of it was made up, then the public's got a right to know. If it wasn't made up, if it's real, we've got a right to know what names are on there. And now with Donald Trump going out on a limb and saying, oh, just, leave me alone. Let's just, pretend the whole thing didn't happen. People are asking the question, why?
To what extent do you think that this is going to have a lasting impact on his popularity with those people versus the usual thing I think we expect from Republicans, which is maybe a few days of some consternation, but ultimately everybody comes back home?
That's exactly what's going to happen. I mean, the regular Republicans who are just being quislings, who don't really like what he's doing or don't like a lot of the things, but they're fearful of him, never believe this. So it wasn't really their animating factor. So they'll just stay the same. They'll stay cowardly and acquiescent forever, as long as it takes, until he doesn't have power, and then you'll see some differences, which will come. The other ones, the Roseanne Barrs, the Alex Jones, the Laura Loomers, that gang is angry, and they expected a lot more from Kash Patel, especially, and Dan Bongino, who would go on and on about this conspiracy theory. So these are the people that put these people on this almost sugar high of conspiracy theories. And now, when they're like, oh, actually, they can't come off of it. Like they're deep in the hole. And so I can see why they're disappointed. As crazy as they may be, they're also disappointed. That said, they never seem to blame Trump for this. They're aiming at Bongino and
it's
Bondi.
Pam Bondi, as if Pam Bondi has shown herself to be like some neutral or independent figure. I mean, all of these people are completely under the thumb of Donald Trump.
Right, exactly. I mean, and also she's just been inept. I mean, the ineptitude away from everything by putting these binders out that didn't have anything in them, and then saying she had a list because she's such a thirsty person on Fox News. She's got to say something. She needs to shut up. For a lawyer, she talks too much. One of the things she should have been doing was managing expectations here, and saying less. And in this case, they just kind of come out with it in a kind of random, haphazard way, right? Rather than really preparing their group for, look, we looked into it. This is what it is. Let us show you. Let us walk through this. So it's kind of a ham-handed version of it. I mean, ultimately, I suspect they'll go along with Trump, and the crazy ones will nurse anger quietly, and it will manifest later in a sort of a giant open sore, because they'll not know where to go, because where are they going to go? Once Trump's gone, the Republicans, if they ever get back control of themselves, will not have this group in there. They don't want them. So we'll see. I feel badly for Roseanne Barr today. What
do you think it says more broadly about like the griftery nature of somebody like Dan Bongino and Kash Patel, who really predicated their identities on serving this slop to their audiences, and now they are in these unique positions to be able to substantiate the very things that they were saying for years and years and years, and they've come up short. I mean, there was a clip of Kash Patel talking to somebody who works at the Blaze. I can't remember who it was, but this was in December of 2023, and he was saying that Epstein's black book was in the hands of the FBI director. That he's like, this goes right up to the FBI director. That's the person who has all the power here. dude is the FBI director right now.
Well, that's
So,
their
like,
problem. They always do that. They're like, if only someone was in power to do this. Like Trump yesterday with, I would have done Doge differently. I was like, if you were in charge, and he was in charge. Like this is one of their playbook things. I mean, they've got to be hurting because this is the gang that first of all, they couldn't shoot straight essentially, but they also train these people to believe in this deep state mentality. And then when it gets out of control, it gets out of control. I mean, they seem like clods and charlatans. I mean, Dan Bongino's a charlatan, really, in so many ways. He's probably going to be arrested next week for that, but he is.
we could share a gulag somewhere.
Whatever. Whatever. Good luck, Dan. But I think this is the problem, is they predicated their success, online success. Now, if they can spin up once they leave here, they'll come up with another nonsensical story, alligators in the toilets in Alcatraz. I don't know. They're just, you have to constantly be telling lies and coming up with new lies to leave behind the old lies. And so that's the problem. The thing is, this group, it's like soap opera. They'll take any lie and they'll move on to the next one. We'll see how much they split from Trump. I mean, they're just terrible people. So they will continue to be hypocritical. And calling them out is kind of like saying, oh, look, the sky is blue.
To watch the full interviews with Jamie Raskin and Kara Swisher, click the thumbnails right here on the screen or check out the interviews playlist on my YouTube channel. You can also click the link on the screen to listen to the audio version of this episode, and of course to see more of my content, the subscribe button's on the screen as well.